Welcome back to today's Explainer. You know, for decades, the safety net for unhoused populations has functioned pretty much exactly the same way. And, well, we all know how that's going. But today we're looking at a real game changer. It's a revolutionary system called WAO Pathways Hollywood. We're going to explore exactly how this protocol takes a standard 2-minute homelessness intake and literally transforms it into a pathway to economic ownership. Yeah, you heard that right. Actual ownership.
To set the stage, listen to this quote. Triage is the front door. Ownership is the back door. Now that is a massive subversion of a century-old idea. Historically, unhoused folks have just been treated as passive recipients of aid, right? Kind of like economic objects where funders pay, agencies step in, and the person just receives. But WO flips the whole shebang. They're proposing that the ultimate goal shouldn't just be finding a bed for the night. It should be actual co-ownership of the economic engine that operates around their own recovery.
So, you're probably wondering, how do we actually get there? It sounds incredible, going from a crisis on the street to an empowered co-owner, but how does it work? To understand that, we need to dive into the mechanics and follow the actual journey of a participant from the very second they walk through that front door of triage.
Okay, let's dive into this by comparing the two. In the old model we're also familiar with, people are just treated as case numbers. They're passive recipients stuck in these punitive funnels where a single misstep can send them all the way back to square one. But the WAO model, fundamentally different. It treats participants as economic subjects. It actually values verified effort. And the endgame is becoming a co-owner, using a sort of credit union-style mutualism. It completely rewrites the political economy of recovery.
All right, so let's get right into Tier 1, Stabilize, which covers the crucial first 30 days.
30 days. That's it. After a person completes their initial AI intake, which WAO calls Tier 0, they enter this highly critical window. This is the bedrock foundation. It's that immediate, vulnerable transition from the street to stability, where someone shifts from just being handed a plan to actually executing it. What happens in these 0 to 30 days absolutely dictates the trajectory of their entire recovery journey. This is where they begin actively earning equity.
Let's break down the actual flow of how this works. First, the participant executes a customized 48-hour plan. As they do this, their real-world actions are dual verified, which lets them earn what are called WAO-Care credits. Every single tangible action they take translates directly into measurable progress. It's not some confusing black box, it's a completely transparent path where your effort immediately equals reward.
Picture this. Imagine a participant taking these exact real-world steps in Hollywood today. They check into the PATH shelter intake. Then they head over to an appointment to get a new California ID. Later, they pick up their mail, sit through a health screening, and eventually grab some meals at the center. These aren't just abstract ideas. They are specific, real-world actions mapped directly to real resources in Hollywood.
And when they do these things, they earn WAO-Care. So what is that? It's a non-transferable reputation credit earned for verified real-world actions in one's own recovery. Now, it's super important to note that CARE here stands for caring labor, not medical care. It's digital proof of effort. So it's not just a financial handout, no way. It's a literal ledger of a person's hard work to stabilize their own life.
Now, what's really interesting about this next part is dual verification, or creating trust through data.
So, how does the app actually know you showed up to get your ID or eat that meal? For these reputation credits to mean anything, they have to be absolutely bulletproof. The verification engine uses 3 specific types of proof. First is human sign-off, like a caseworker, a peer, or partner staff co-signing an action. Second is operational data. Think of a shelter's digital roster or a clinic appointment log. And finally, self-proof, where the participant provides a geotagged photo or a QR code scan at the actual location.
But here is the absolutely crucial core mechanic of the whole thing. 2 out of 3 are required. For any reputation to be awarded, at least 2 distinct sources must agree. And self-proof alone, it is never enough. You can't just scan a QR code and walk away with credit. This dual verification requirement ensures bulletproof integrity for every single WAO-Care credit issued.
And this brilliantly illustrates the non-punitive ethos where compassion meets accountability.
This is where the system rewrites the rules of recovery to fiercely protect human dignity. Traditional systems often act like a giant game of snakes and ladders, right? One mistake, and you slide all the way back to the start. But the Tier 1 Stabilize phase totally eliminates that. First off, no punitive streaks. There are no arbitrary rules saying you have to do something perfectly for 10 days in a row or else you start over. Second, no public scoreboards. A participant's stats, things like bed nights stabilized, steps completed, or reputation earned, are completely private. They only live on their personal screen, keeping their progress dignified and confidential.
And third, no clawbacks, ever. Let's say a participant has a rough day, or even a relapse. Their hard-earned reputation is never erased. The equity they built is theirs to keep for sure.
Progress never resets. A missed day pauses you. It does not punish you. I want you to really imagine the profound emotional relief of navigating a system built on pausing rather than punishing. When life on the streets gets chaotic, and let's be honest, it always does, missing an appointment doesn't mean you failed the program. It just means the system patiently waits for you to take your next step.
It all culminates in this beautiful signature moment of the stabilized phase. It happens the very first time a member checks their phone and sees their own reputation number tick up because a caseworker just co-signed a step they took. It's small, it's specific, and it is entirely earned. It restores agency in a way that just handing someone a pamphlet literally never could.
Which leaves us with this really provocative thought to close out today's explainer. What if we treated lived experience not as a liability, but as an economic asset? By turning every verified step of recovery into equity, WAO Pathways is setting the stage for participants to graduate out of the stabilized phase and step into actual governance and ownership. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How quickly could we solve these entrenched crises if we simply changed who owned the solution? Thanks so much for learning with me today, and I hope this sparked a totally new way of thinking about the road to recovery.